You are now tuning in to From the Bottom to the Top with your girl Princess with the Real. I am sitting down today with Baby Case. I'm about to get her story from childhood to adulthood to where she is now and where she intends on going. So let me just get on to Baby Case right now, get on to the story. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. You know I'm scared.
Look, I'm finna get all up in your business.
I know I done seen your show. I came prepared today. I came all the way prepared.
Okay, let me sip my drink before I get it.
Please, I think I finished mine before the show even started. I was so damn nervous.
So we're gonna jump right into your childhood. And I want to know, first off, did you come up in a single parent household or did you have both of your parents?
Well, I grew up in a household where my mother and my father were divorced by the time I was conceived.
Okay.
My parents are already divorced. There was a little situation with my mother and father, and I was born. And it was pretty much like my father was pretty much in and out. He was on drugs real bad, so I don't really remember him much as a child. Until I probably got a little older, maybe 5, 6 years old. But by that time, my mother had already met my stepfather. He came into our life. Me and my brother. He came into my life maybe when I was 2. So he's pretty much, I consider him my father. So he's been in my life since I was 2 years old, and he's still here. And my mother married when I was like 6 years old. So I consider myself to have come up in a 2-parent household. My stepfather raised me since I was 2. But I guess I still kind of feel a ways about my father, of
That's
course.
what I was just about to say, as a kid, so coming up, did you know that was a stepfather, or did you always look at him as that was dad because you didn't know your dad?
Well, no, the crazy thing about it was I knew my dad, but he was just always in and out. He would make promises that he wouldn't keep. So I knew that was my stepfather. When he came into my life, I knew that he was my stepdad, but I fiend for that, attention from my father, and he was always in and out. But I saw him because I have an older brother, but he would spend time with my brother, but he wouldn't spend time with me.
How did that make you feel?
I guess, of course, after I think I became like 8 years old, I think that when I got old enough to kind of really understand what was happening, I think it really put me in a position to just not trust. I think in that moment, it just really, I think that's pretty much what I took to now as an adult with dealing with just people. It made me feel unwanted, unloved.
Like
and
you didn't want to be around
it was
you.
like, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? But I felt like I got that boot because I guess my father raped my mother.
Okay.
Because, he was on drugs real bad, and then I was conceived. So I've always just been that child.
So were they in a relationship? They weren't in a relationship?
No, they had been divorced, and my father was still like kind of coming and going, and he'll break it to the house. I remember my brother just telling me stories like he'll come in, he'll steal the game systems, he'll steal my diapers, he'll take whatever he can get.
To get $1.
To get $1, because he was on drugs real bad. So just me hearing these stories, and I've had great moments with my father. Like I remember good moments with him as a child.
Yeah, they're not always on the drugs. So.
Right, because he's definitely a changed man now. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely changed. I speak to him from time to time. He's in the church, so he's definitely not that same person that he was. But
so back then, though, as a child coming up and seeing him like that,
right?
How did that affect you with going to school and dealing with people?
It definitely gave me trust issues. I think that was definitely my main thing with him was that I would just get my hopes up so hard, like it just so high, like I know I'm gonna see my daddy, and then he'll pull up and then pull off without even getting out the car, like what, and we also had a relationship where he would bring toys, like he'll give me a teddy bear, or he'll bring a bunch of toys to the house and then just disappear. So I took a lot of that with me into my adulthood with what I got out of people, like
people ain't gonna be around forever.
Right. Or you try to give me gifts in your absence. So just spending time. So I look at people and I dealt with a lot of things differently because I got gifts for love and I got, lies and just disappointments growing up, because I always wanted that. Even all the way through college, I can remember my father just disappointing me.
So how was it like growing up, going through middle school, going through high school, growing up with a stepdad, you got your mom there, you got your dad coming
Right.
in and out. How were you as a child in school?
I feel like my stepfather saved my life because he's like my best friend. I'm a daddy's girl. I feel like I wouldn't be as strong and I wouldn't be the woman I am today if it wasn't for him, because he literally stepped in and took the place of, even though he allowed me to, I contact my father. I call my dad by his first name, and I can remember him telling me, "I'm your daddy. Don't call him." But I was smart enough to know that no, he take care of me. He tell me things that I'm supposed to know. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm smart enough to know that, oh, this is my father. Like I'm always respect him because he is my father, but you can't take what he's done for me away. So I was smart. I was always on the honor roll. Like he instilled a lot in me.
Okay.
And me and my mother never really had the best relationship. Considering how I was conceived, I feel like she carried that all the way through.
Felt like she was looking at you, thinking about what
Right.
happened.
So me and her never really had a good relationship, and my father always, even when I got older, my stepfather would always try to have that moment like, you can't always be mad, like it ain't my fault. You know what I'm saying? But I've always carried that burden.
So what you're saying is your stepfather was more of a parent figure when it came to like being there
Right.
for you emotionally,
Right.
than your parents.
Right. And the crazy thing about it was that he, and still to this day, like I said, he came in when I was 2. He's always worked 6 days a week, maybe 7 days a week, and he works all day, every day. But it's just those moments that he has had. Any moment that I've had with him, he's made sure that
You good.
it's been a moment that I needed, and I've always remembered everything he's ever told me. So I feel like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be as book smart, street smart. He instilled a lot. Like my mother shielded, like she sheltered me and my brother a lot. Like
And when you say shelter, what do you mean?
like she didn't like music. Like my daddy, I can't remember how old we was. We listened to Trick Daddy. We watching the sex scene come on TV. She cutting the TV off. Like my daddy, like no. Like I can remember one day my daddy walked in the kitchen and he was smoking the blunt. Like they need to know what it is before they get out there. They need to go on there.
So she was trying to keep y'all away from.
Upset. Okay. But I think I was smart enough as a child to know that he wasn't doing that to be malicious. He's literally like put me on game. Yeah. Like I didn't start just smoking weed, but it was like he's introducing us to things that's gonna be out there in the world. You know what I'm saying? If I left that up to my mama, Lord knows, but God, I love my mama to death. But I just know that sheltered. He put me on to a lot of, just basically fed me knowledge.
So discussing your mom and growing up, you and her not having a close relationship, and you feeling like it may be partly because of what she dealt with. How was that for you growing up as a child, not having that close relationship with your mom?
It was hard. See, you finna start, princess.
Jump
it was
into
hard.
it.
I don't think I don't remember, my mother never hugged me. She never told me she loved me. I didn't have it. Probably till I became an adult, like literally. I just always felt some type of hatred from my mother, but I have so much love in my heart. I knew that she'd been through a lot. So I never took that on. I can't stand you.
So you never really questioned anything. You just tried to deal.
No, I just, it was, but I never wanted for anything. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I guess I grew up coming up like tough love. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to tell me you love me, but what you do for me shows me that you love me. That's really like how I kind of just came up. Like I could give you tough love all day, but you ate. You got a roof over your head, the lights on. So that's the love, you know what I'm saying? But I realized that being an adult, you know what I'm saying, I lack a lot in a lot of places because this is how I grew up. I grew up like, as long as you being taken care of, as long as you got what you need and you don't want for nothing, you good. But it eventually affects you because you need that. You need that.
That's true.
You need that love. You need somebody to tell your parents, you know what I'm saying? My daddy would give it to me, but he worked so much. I would literally remember waiting for him to get home from work at midnight. Like I could just remember as a child, wait for him to come home from work, just so I could just run up to the front and give him a hug and just talk to him. And I knew my mama was gonna be asleep, so I waited up all night. And it meant a lot to me. And he just basically, he gave a lot of tough love, but it's very important to give your child that love. I have a child now, and I love on her like all day, every day. It might be too much, but I give
because
her
of what happened when you
right.
came up.
Like I'm always in her face. Like I'm that mommy. Like come over here, let me love on you, and she loves it. You know what I'm saying? But I lacked that as a child. I never got the love, the hugs. My mom probably didn't tell me she loved me. I was maybe 23. That was probably the first time, and I think she gave me that was the first time she gave me my first hug, and told me that she loved me. Like my mama never touched. Like it wasn't. It
So
wasn't
growing
that
up,
tight.
how was it? Like, how was the relationship? Because I know with my kids, we give hugs and kisses before we go to bed every night. We do stuff like that.
Right.
So growing up, like, did y'all ever have like that mother and daughter heart to hearts about life and boys?
No.
Who did you go to for that stuff?
No. And as being a grown woman right now, being an adult, I think that's just the one thing from my mother that I felt like I wish I had from her. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad put me on the most of that's how I knew how to handle dudes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I got that from my dad.
Game, but to be
right,
a woman.
but I needed that. You know what I'm saying? I needed to know about what you went through. I needed to know about everything that you went through as a teenager. Like, I wanted to know. I needed to know. But I never had, there was no bedtime moments. It was never any... Like, I kind of feel like the black sheep in my family. Like, it was just four of us, me, my father, my brother. But I just felt so sheltered as far as just not even being able to really express how I felt because I was a child. So
I'm going to stop you there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pay these bills, and I'm going to take a sip of this joint, and, you might need to take a sip of
I
your
might too. I'm
going
to eat these fruit next.
We'll be back on that note to finish touching on, where she is, with her parents and everything that's going on in her life as a child, growing into an adult. We all go through things. We all have stories, and we got to finish hearing hers. You are back to From the Bottom to the Top with your girl, Princess with the Real. And where we left off, Baby Case was talking about, family and how it was for her growing up. And dealing with her parents as a child. And I want to jump right back into that and discuss your relationship with your mother, because I know you say your stepfather was a big impact in your life.
Right.
And you don't hear a lot of people say, my stepfather was more of an impact of my life as a child than my parents. So, and as a girl, it's good to know what your relationship was like with your mother and how that affected you as a child.
Right.
So let's get into that a little bit more when it comes to boys and it comes to friends and stuff. Right. How did those the impact of your life at home affect you in those situations?
It affected me a lot because my father, like I said, my father was always working, so the main parent at home was my mother. And then I was overweight. Like I was a little fat kid, and I can remember like, just at dinner time, you eating again, and just coming up as a child, it was like that disgrace. And I was big my whole life, it was just that disgrace of like, you eating again. I can remember being 10 or 11 and my mother was making me drink Slim Fast.
Oh wow! And how did that make you feel? Like,
how
did that happen?
It destroyed me in a lot of ways. I think emotionally and mentally, just because I was always an active child. So it was like I was always cheerleading, like, I was comfortable in the skin I'm in. But I already knew that, like, okay, when I go home, I'm only going to eat like one time. Like, she wasn't starving me, but it was almost like I'm being picked at every time I eat.
So it wasn't that y'all were less fortunate and didn't have food.
Oh, no. Like,
it was the fact that she was trying to help you lose weight, so you would eat less to try to lose weight.
I felt like growing up, like I said, I was overweight my whole life to a point. I felt like it was almost, I felt like she was ashamed of me. Because my mother is beautiful. Like, my mother is, like, beautiful. I can never remember going somewhere and somebody was trying to talk to her. Like, and she had a nice body, like, and here I am I'm your daughter, and I'm just this big old mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
But
I
did you feel
felt
like that? Did you feel like that about yourself?
I didn't feel like that until she said something, or I didn't feel like that until she pointed it out. You know, and it was always an issue. So I think that brought on a lot of insecurities
Now, did she do this
unknowingly.
in public, or was it just
No,
with you and
it was
her?
like when we was at home. You know,
Okay.
that's like when we was at the house, or like my mother. We never ate out. Like we ain't never go out to eat. It wasn't a thing. Like they cooked meals, but it was always like,
Portion.
what you eating again? And I'm like, yeah, I'm hungry.
Again, we
Like,
eat.
yeah, I want to eat again. I'm like, yeah. But it was just it almost became a thing where I felt like she didn't love me that way I was. You know,
She wanted you to look
just
different.
and then like my real father, that whole side of the family's overweight. Like that whole side of the family's like big. So it was always that resentment that she had
Another
towards
reminder.
them. Another reminder. Every time she look at me, I look just like them. You know, and that was
Yeah.
pretty much my whole life was them, yo people. You need to go, Joe, call your people. Like
So
I
she
just
was
didn't
dealing
feel
with it.
wanted. Yeah,
She
so
was dealing with being emotionally, dealing with the fact of what happened between her and him, and then
right,
still trying to raise you because she didn't want to give you up.
right,
So now
right,
she's trying to raise you and still deal with
right,
that.
right,
So now you're dealing with the emotional side of it.
right,
And now you're going to school and you already dealing with your mom at home,
right,
saying you're overweight and stuff. How is
right.
that affecting you in school?
At school, I can remember I was picked on. I was picked on by a couple of people in school, but I always had a lot of friends. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like I always had a lot of friends at school. I was never like the kid alone in the corner. You know, I always
Okay.
had friends at school. One dude will try it and talk about me. You know, I can remember a couple moments where people would pick on me. People would talk about me behind my back. But I had more friends and I had people that were bullying me. That's one thing I can remember. But I was still in a very insecure place. Just growing up, period, and especially going through school. Even though I had friends, I can remember wearing a jacket all year round because I didn't like the way my arms looked. Because I remember my mama said something about my arms one day, and I can remember it could be 95 degrees waiting at the bus stop, and I got a jacket on, a fleece jacket, just because I was scared to show my arms, right? So it left me with a lot of issues just going through school, you know, insecurities and not really feeling comfortable with my body. And of course, people would talk, and people, it's cool. You know, people gonna talk about you behind your back, but I never had like traumatizing moments because I always had friends. You know, I always had people that I was cool with.
So your most traumatizing of people talking about you was your mom.
Yeah, it was more so family. Like it was more
Family.
so home. It was like when I get home, I'm a whole different person. Like I'm quiet. I'm in a room by myself. Like, and that was pretty much like
So in your
life.
head, so just thinking a school kid, end of the day comes, most kids is like, yes, school over, I get to go home. How was your feelings and emotions when school was over?
Um, I did as much as I could. I did as many after school activities as I could. Step team, cheerleading, track, tennis. Anything I could do that'll keep me from wherever. So when I do get home, it's late. All I do is get in the shower, do my homework, and hopefully I eat.
So you did everything to stay away from home as much as possible.
Yeah, only because it wasn't like it wasn't a terror house.
It was
Like
just you
my
didn't want
home
it.
was a home, but I just didn't have a a motherly relationship with my mom. So it was just always that feeling in the back of my mind, just to feel like, unwanted, or I know I can't ask her nothing or talk to her because she's she's gonna go off on me.
I like that you pointed out the fact that it was not a terror house.
Yes,
Like it
no,
wasn't
not at
like,
all.
you was poor, you ain't had food, you ain't had
Right.
this.
Oh
It
no,
was
my
just the
family thought we
emotional
was the
side of it.
Huxtables. Like they just, like they was like, oh y'all, my daddy work, house. It was home, but I don't think a family don't have some type of dysfunction, and I never was that type of person or the type of child to be like, my mommy, it's just, it was the way of life, really, it was just the way of life. And we grew up in the ghetto. Like before we was, I can remember staying off of Bone Road with my grandparents. Me, my brother, my mama, my daddy, my cousins, my granddaddy, my grandmama, and it was a 3-bedroom house. And I can remember getting off the school bus, getting dropped off in front of the house, and off of Bankhead, and we was out there, and my stepfather basically created a better life for us, and he moved us out to the south side. But I can remember like struggling. I can remember, the car, my dad's car getting repoed. Like I can remember these things just as a child. So it wasn't always a better life. So even when we moved to the south side and we started like that brand new life, I think that began to highlight the personal issues. Now we ain't worrying about who
the hood stuff now.
Right, we ain't worrying about who finna eat their cereal with their water or their orange juice, or who finna eat a mayonnaise sandwich today. Now we gotta worry about how you really feel about me. Now we we got food, we got a house, we got cars. Like now we're comfortable. Now we got to deal with the emotional part.
And now how old were you then?
When we finally moved to the south side, I was maybe 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
About 5 or 6 maybe, and I'm reaching. But I was in elementary school. I was in elementary school.
Okay, so you growing up through school, you got friends, you got you in the crowd where you got a clique.
Right.
The issue is your father's in and out. He's not there the way you want him to be there.
Right.
But you got a stepfather there, helping you to support you along the way, because your mother is also somewhat of an absentee mother just because she dealt with things in her life too. So now you're going through high school. I like to jump into the high school because that's when people start getting a little rowdy and stuff. So in high school, what was you like in high school?
Okay, first I would like to say I was always a great student. I graduated on honor roll with the Hope Scholarship.
You said that because you about to say some other stuff.
I was always a wonderful student. Yes, But
outside of that,
I can't remember maybe 11th grade, I cracked. Like I had perfect attendance, like all the way from kindergarten to I was like on point. Like my parents, regardless of what was happening, education was like, we're not even gonna play with you. I don't even say I'm bored in front of my daddy. I fuck around and say you bored. Okay, here's an encyclopedia and we gotta write. Like it was no joke. Like I had more books than I had toys. But I appreciate that, this day. Like it was like I read books. What is a Polly Pocket? Like I was getting books around here. Like I'm here for the book club.
So look, what did you do to break in 11th grade?
Oh man, I think 11th grade.
You trying to drag that one out?
Yeah, any time for a commercial right now. I basically, 11th grade, you get somewhat of a freedom. You old enough to get a job. I got my little job at McDonald's. My friends had cars. So it was pretty much and I was old enough to recognize, I felt like my mama didn't love me. Like I felt like she loved me as her child, but I knew by that time that there was no motherly love.
She loved
I'm
you,
like,
she didn't
she tell me she loved me. She don't give me no hugs. Like by that time, it was like, fuck it. Like my mama don't, So I remember I joined the gang. I remember I was going to clubs. I think these clubs I don't even think I was old enough. I don't even remember.
So hold on now, you joined the gang. Did you get jumped in the gang?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not actually. Actually, I did not.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen and I saw plenty of them.
And that's why I asked.
For me, it was a blessing.
Okay. And that's the reason why I asked, because I see, nowadays so many people say they join the gangs and stuff. And it's really sad. And I really came up.
Yeah.
Through the gangs.
Yeah.
And I know real gangs.
Real gang
So when
shit.
I see gang shit nowadays, I'm like,
I was fucking around, but they playing. They was playing. But I could have really I realize now that I'm so blessed. And I really I had little fairy angels around me the whole time, because everything that I endured and everything that I got into, it came so easy. But it was almost like it was there to teach me a lesson. Like, I'm running around with this gang, and I'm out all times of nights, and I'm going to the clubs, and I could literally remember the first day. Well, I can remember my last day with the gang. My last day, uh, it was a shootout where we was meeting up. I can remember being at the Playhouse McDonald's with the gang. They on the phone with the rivals. They planning the fucking meetup, and in this moment, I am like, this shit is stupid. Like, I done been in the jump-ins, I done been in the gang fights, but in this moment, I'm like,
What am I doing this for?
stupid. Like, we finna meet up. Wait, we got guns. Like, wait, we really finna go do this? And I can remember we going to the meetup spot to meet up with the gang, and somebody from the rival gang literally was hitting our car, trying to run us off the road before we got there. And they ran our car off the road. We went into a ditch. Our other members came, got us out the car. I'm thinking like, that was close. I just want to go home. Oh no, bitch, we still going to the shootout. Get your ass in the car.
All that.
Y'all just put us out of a ditch. But we still going to the shootout, sis.
Wow.
Went to the shootout. I'm sitting there and I'm moving slow motion in this moment. Everybody running towards that way. And I'm walking slow as fuck. I don't even want to be here no more. Like, I thought I was about this life. Bitch, I
realized you were. But you in it now.
But I'm in it and I'm stuck. So, bitch, bring your ass. All right. Coming right along. You know what I'm saying? I had been in that shit before, but for some reason, this particular day, it was just kind of like...
It was more.
It was a lot. Because I had been skipping school. Like, I had done started smoking weed. Like, I had took a turn left.
Real quick.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the good girl. Come straight home from school. You got A's and B's. You don't talk to it. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, I just, I took all of that, I guess, abandonment I didn't get from my mom. And my dad was always gone. He worked 6 days a week. And I just knew that I was only really safe with him. I'm like, shit. I was in fucking mode. So I can remember going to this shootout. And before you know it, shots ring out. We running. There was a guy right next to me. And I can remember hearing the shots ring out and he dropped to the ground. All I can remember getting back in the car about 25 minutes later, they said D, the guy that was running next to me who dropped, said he got shot and he died. That bullet could have been mine. He was right next to me,
That was a wake-up call.
Absolutely. That was my wake-up call in that moment. So that was the last day. I was, fuck this gang shit. I was back in school. Like, I got my shit back together real quick.
You graduated?
Absolutely. Honor roll.
Okay, so you got back in there. You
got
it right.
But I was living that afterlife, after school. That was after school. Like, my mama didn't know shit.
Okay.
That's how crazy it was. My mama didn't know nothing. They didn't know nothing. They didn't know. I was living that life.
You was living a second life that nobody even really knew about.
Right. Because I was always that good girl. So when I started acting out, they never knew.
Oh, that mean you sneaky.
They never knew.
Okay, you was sneaky something.
Until. Right. Until I got bold one day and then got caught. Like, bitch.
Look, we about to pay some bills. And when we come back, I want to get into the adulthood of Baby Case. I want to know from, by the time you got out of school to where you at now, because I feel like that's when it's finna really get juicy.
Girl, let's do it.
Let's get into it. So let's go pay these bills. And we're going to be back to From the Bottom to the Top with your girl, Princess with the Real, sitting down with Baby Case. And we about to hear this story.
Oh,
this is the last one,
yes.
last segment. So, all right, here we go. We are rolling. 3, 2, 1.
You back with your girl, Princess with the Real, on From the Bottom to the Top. I'm sitting down with Baby Case. We finna jump into, once she got out of high school, going into college, and her adulthood. I want people to understand, what she went through, emotionally, growing into her own, what she went to becoming this music person that she is, podcast personality. I want to jump into all of that. We don't got a lot of time to talk to her, so we're going to jump into it real quick. So let's go into, your college days and getting out of high school, going into college, and let's talk about that a little bit.
Right, going into college, I basically moved to Cochran, Georgia. I moved to South Georgia. I attended Middle Georgia College. And I remember working that whole summer after high school, and I saved up enough money to pay rent at an apartment off of campus. And I paid my rent up. I had a friend live with me. We were roommates. I thought everything was gravy. But that came to like a halting, terrible end. One night, like I said, I was overweight my whole life. At this point, you know, when you join college, you gain weight. I gained even more weight. So I was probably almost 300 pounds at the moment, but I'm still living life, having social lives. I had a party one night at my apartment, and I had my fiance at the time was there, and I could remember everybody leaving after the party, and I could remember washing dishes, and the room started spinning, and I went to go lay down, and I remember blacking out. And when I woke up in a puddle of blood, and my pillowcase was full of blood. The bed was, and I sat up, and it was blood running from my nose. I panicked, of course. Who the hell wouldn't panic, right? I called 911, and I can remember going in and out trying to stop the blood because I would always have little spells when my nose would bleed when I was a child. But this was like, okay, pouring. Something's wrong. It's pouring. And I can remember going in and out, and I remember unlocking the door just in case when the ambulance came. And I remember going to the bathroom, and I had 2 rolls of tissue, and I literally had each roll of tissue on my nose like this.
Oh, wow.
And both of them saturated, soaked in blood. By the time the EMS got there, by the time I woke up, the EMS was in my bathroom. I was laying in puddles of blood, and they was like trying to bring me back. And in that moment, I really thought like I was gone. Like I didn't know what was happening. It took me to the hospital a couple of days later. It told me I had diabetes, I had blood pressure, sleep apnea. I had anything that you could possibly have, I had it. And it had basically took a toll. I was, maybe 19 at the time. It took a toll on me physically in that moment. So I ended up having to drop out of college. I got so sick to the point, like I was on so many medications and everything, I ended up having to drop out of college, and I had to move back home with my mother. And I had, eventually, my doctor was like, you're going to have to get this weight off of you, or you ain't going to live to see 21. Like, it was that bad. Like, my health was declining, and this just, to me, came out of nowhere. So they introduced a gastric bypass surgery. I was terrified, of course, but I was referred to a specialist, and at 19, at the time, I was the youngest patient ever.
Oh,
but
wow.
I ended up having a lap band surgery based just off of health reasons. And I can remember being 19 and having this surgery to lose weight, and it was like my life flat. Like my life just flipped upside down. And I don't even think I was ready for it. Cause they had you seeing therapists and people to talk to, but I wasn't ready for it at all. And at the time, as far as my music go, I was still writing. I didn't have the confidence to really put myself out there as an artist. You know, I was just kind of still writing in my little notebook or whatever the case may be. So I can remember having this surgery, and the first year I lost like 100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. It was fast, but then I realized maybe it was a little too fast because my mental didn't catch up with my physical.
Okay.
So that caused even more problems.
Touch on it.
I was still wearing the big clothes. I refused. I was still wearing my big girl clothes. I was literally like, I didn't let go. And mentally, I didn't see what other people saw. You know, then when I started to lose that weight, it didn't change me. It was weird. It took a long time because I wasn't happy. Because I feel like I started getting a lot of fake love. Mm-hmm. You know, when I started losing weight, I started getting a lot of attention from certain people that didn't give it to me before. Mind you, that was after the surgery. It's when my mama told me she loved me, gave me a hug. When I finally got skinny, I felt like I started getting a lot of fake love from people. And I started seeing a lot of snake shit. Like, and it's so crazy. I feel like I lived on both sides. Like, I lived my whole life up until I was 20 as an overweight woman. You know what I'm saying? Then it was like suddenly when I lost weight, oh, people trying to give me shit. Oh, they reaching. And I'm just like, and I still have that mentality of being in a protective mode of myself from being overweight and just handling myself a certain way. That carried on with me even as of now. Because I know for a fact that if I was still 275 pounds, your ass wouldn't be over here in my face like this. Or you wouldn't even be giving me the attention that you're giving me or the love that you claim you're giving me. So it's still stuck with me, my mental and the way I handle people. Like I said, I grew up with a bunch of boys. Like, I was never prissy. I was always a tomboy. Like, I came here with some J's. Like, that was, I wish I could have kept them on. You know what I'm saying?
And so, in touching on that part of it, you know, touching on guys and stuff, one thing that I noticed when you were telling your story, you never really talked about being actively and having sex and stuff like that at a young age.
No.
So, at what age did you finally, you know, get in and have sex?
When nobody getting no cake, I not at all. I was not fucking. I didn't have sex until after high school. And I think a lot of people have that perception of me because of the baby cakes persona. But I've been called a hoe. I've been called a rip, a homewrecker, and everything of that nature. But people don't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, people, and I don't feel the need to have to defend or correct people. But I am far from a hoe. I ain't nobody's rip. I didn't have sex till after high school.
And so I want to touch on that. You know, going in and discussing your adulthood, and I know you're in the music business. You do podcasts. You interview lots of people all the time.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on this because the perception as a female who's sexy, carrying herself sexy,
she's some
confident.
Industry
Yeah.
They only doing it because she cute. They only like it because she fucking them. That ain't cake.
Okay, so I want to get into the business of baby cakes as an adult and how you carry yourself as a businesswoman. What got you to where you are today? Right. You know, because a lot of people get the perception of, oh, you got there because you fucked your way to the top. So,
baby,
we want to get into the real deal and really like expose the truth.
Absolutely. I would love to.
What made you the woman that you are today and how you got to where you are in business right now. So let's touch on that.
Right. It was so important for me for people to respect my platform, people to respect what I do. And me coming into this game as an artist, I always saw the girls up there with their ass hanging out, they shaking, they woo. I wanted to be taken serious, and you gon' take me serious. I feel like it's levels to sexy, it's levels to flaunting, it's levels to just sex, period. Like I said, I grew up insecure, so I never even was on that sex shit. So I never even was that type of artist. But I know for one thing, when it came to my business, for my music, you're going to respect it. And the only way you're going to respect it is if I pay for it. Mm-hmm. So ever since the first day I came in, I countless thousands of dollars out of my own pocket. If I do business with anybody, trust and believe I paid them. I fucked no one for nothing. Not a beat, not a song, not a video, not a track, not a show, not a nothing. And I ain't never, and I will never, because I believe I'm going to always cut the check for anything, because the moment's like, when people say, oh, she a rip, she a hoe, when I tell you to pull your receipts, can't nobody say shit bad about me. Can't nobody say nothing about baby cakes. Can't nobody say, hey, you ain't going to find no nigga that be like, hey, baby cake goddamn, fuck me for goddamn. They ain't going to be able to say that, you know, unless they mad. Because I done had a lot of these folks, a lot of these dudes that's in the industry now, I done been tried by at least 85% of them, but they ain't getting no ass. We could do this and we can work. We could do some business, but you know, half of the time, what I kind of find out, half of the shit that's out there about me, that came from the dudes because they never got a chance. Yeah, and they ain't gonna get one. Yeah, but a lot of the shit that I've even heard has come from dudes. Oh, she's some rip. I'm some rip because you can't get no ass.
Most of the hate come from the males.
A lot of the hate come from the males, and most of it come from jealous females. Mm-hmm. Like I'm all about women empowerment. Like if I see a girl, she pretty, I'm gonna tell her she pretty. But it don't work like that. Folks nowadays are so fucking shady that these females are so nasty nowadays that it's like I've had a female artist maliciously make up a lie about me to make other females mad at me.
And that's why I wanted to touch on it because I see in the industry, females in the industry who
Right.
carry themselves in a sexy way. It's like you can't be sexy because if you being sexy, it's like, oh, you fucking everybody.
Right.
And I don't like that perception that it gives for females because it makes it hard for you to make it. Because
Right.
now people don't want to work with you because it's like, oh, well, she might be trying to sleep with somebody.
Right.
She's sleeping her way to the top. So I want people to understand that you are about your business.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't and the reason why I feel like I never had to address that was because people know that I'm about my business. Like people will say that shit behind my back, but ain't nobody gonna bring none of that smoke to me because they already know I'm about my business. And a lot of people respect that, and that's the reason why I've carried myself. So if you think I'm stuck up, then that's your problem. But I need my brand, my platform. You gonna respect it. So I'm not gonna do anything to jeopardize what I've built and the people that's behind me have put their time and their money into. Like I've always, from regardless of what anybody has to say, when this is all said and done, can't nobody say Baby Cakes fucked her way, sucked her way, slept her way nowhere. And that's anybody. I've been in relationships my whole life. I don't even like one night stands. I don't fuck off. I don't do that. And because I work for the GYN. I see dirty pussies every day. You think I'm out here slanging mine? I am not.
No.
And I get
No.
I am not. Like people get that perception of me, but it's like you are uncomfortable with my confidence, and I can't help you with that because it took me a long way to get to where I'm at. It took me.
And you know what? I think like that's big because when it comes to confidence,
Yes.
there's a lot of people who are not confident with themselves,
Right.
and then they look at other people who are confident, and then they want
Right.
to look down on you because you're
Right.
confident in yourself,
Right.
regardless of where you at, what you've been
can't.
through. You confident in yourself.
Absolutely.
So with that, I want to touch on the business
Yes.
and what it took you to get to where you are today in the business because it don't come easy.
It don't. I've been in this game seriously after I had my child. I started back after I had my child. 2 years. I quit. I quit for 2 years. I had my baby, but his son was missing, and I came back. And when I literally jumped off that porch, I jumped. And I ain't stopped. Can't nobody say a day hasn't went by for 7 years where you ain't seen no promotion from me. Every single day you gonna see something. And I've been consistent since day one. And I feel like my consistency, my passion, everything that I've done and my brand, you don't have no choice but to respect it. Because I can literally sit up here and say that I'm the only, as far as what I see on my network. I ain't quit. I ain't stopped. Since I've started back, motherfuckers say, damn, she been going since day one. And people don't want to give me that acknowledgement, but it's cool because I don't need it because I know you see it. It literally took a lot. I can remember when I first started back doing music and I was going to do shows. I was doing at least 6 shows a week every night. Waiting 2, 3 in the morning to perform. I'm late. I've been there since the beginning of the night. And I'm performing. I'm literally working my ass off, literally every single day, every single night. I'm in the studio. I can remember just trying to drop shit. Like I literally put my all into it only because, and my daughter was so much inspiration for me. My daughter think I'm a superhero. Like she think Baby Cakes is a superhero. And I want her to know that you can literally be and do whoever the fuck you want to, regardless of what people say. Because people gonna talk about your ass, whether you're here in the ground, rich, broke, it don't even fucking matter because people gonna talk. And ain't nobody gonna give you no validation. Ain't nobody gonna give you that respect that you need or deserve. So I literally I carry that on my own. If you don't believe it, who else gonna believe it?
Exactly.
If I don't do it, who else gonna do it? You think I'm finna wait for you to tell me I'm hot? You gonna wait for you to tell me this is cool? That's cool. If you don't like it, that's cool. Everything is for everybody, and I ain't for everybody.
And I like that you say that because everything ain't for everybody.
Right.
And you ain't for everybody.
I ain't for everybody.
And everybody
So,
need to know that
pick
you
your
ain't for
poison,
everybody.
And that's fine. That's absolutely
And so,
fucking
and
fine.
while we're touching on this, one thing I like to touch on, and I'm a light skinned chick, and you a
Yes.
brown skinned chick.
Oh, man.
And I know that there is a lot of hate and stuff when it comes to the complexion of the skin. And so before we, wrap things up, that's one thing I do want to touch on with you is have you dealt with anything like that when it comes to colorism?
I have actually. I actually grew up going through colorism. I don't think I felt any backlash through it as far as my music. I have seen I have seen certain things, but growing up as a child, because my brother is light skinned. Because my brother was born, he actually had albino pigment.
Albino, that's, yeah.
Yes, he had albino pigment. So, well, growing up, it was like, oh, he the light skinned one, and you the black one. Like, yeah, our brothers and sisters, like, we would get treated so different, and it was like almost like he was the favorite. I was black and fat, he slim and light.
Right.
It was like, damn, okay, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely dealt with that, and I think it's screwed up. You know what I'm saying?
Is.
Like, I'm cool. I got good energy. Why you don't like me? Because I'm black. Okay, I'm dark. But it was just, my mother was caramel, and when I was growing up, I had eczema really bad. So I had really, really dark pigments. Like, my neck was pitch black dark. I had black patches everywhere. So I grew up really ugly. Like, this wasn't me. Like,
but so you went through all of that.
I was in ugly duckling stage. I had black rat. My skin was toe up. I was fucked up.
So you went through all of that, being overweight, dealing with your skin complexion, dealing with the bumps, dealing with all of that stuff. But look at you today. Look at where you are today. So if you had to leave the people with something, after them hearing your story and hearing the things that you've been through, hearing who you are today,
right?
What would you say to the people to inspire them and let them know that, troubles don't last always and you can keep moving forward?
Right. One thing for sure is consistency is key, and never give up, because I've never given up, and I ain't gonna never give up. I feel like everything that I've been through as a child and in high school and college, my whole life is an inspiration for me to keep going. And I do feel like a lot of people who, if they were in my shoes, they would have quit by now. And I feel like never give up. Never give up, because I'm never going to stop. And you should never, which people going to always do, never judge a book by its cover. But I'm passionate about what I do. I'm serious about what I do. And I don't think there's nothing wrong. I never let nobody feel like I need them, period. Because I work so hard. What do you say? But you went with me shooting in the gym? Like, I literally feel like that. I got a team of people, but I literally know the hard work and the late nights and everything that I've been through, and I've earned everything that's come my way. So I don't need validation from any fucking body. And I'm at a point right now where I've done my humble stage. I've done my footwork stage, where 5 years ago they say, what you trying to do? Oh, I want to get to a spot where I can put people on. I'm there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of my platform. I'm proud of my network, my small team. I'm proud of everything that I have in this moment, because I know I did it right. And I know I didn't play around. I didn't fuck around, literally. I know I didn't do anything to tarnish or hurt my brand. So I'm proud of my brand. I know there ain't nothing nobody can say. Rumors can go around, but everybody know, oh, you can't fuck with Cakes. And they know I'm not to be played with. And that's pretty much why I'm at. Like, okay. People already know.
Y'all already know. So we going to speak on the brand, and I want you to let people know where they can find you at, how they can stay in touch with you, and stay in tune with Baby Cakes.
Yes, absolutely. So you guys can stay tuned with me on all platforms. You can follow me on Instagram at MISBABYCAKES13. Also follow Queen Cakes Promo. Follow my movement at Cake Hustle. And also follow my show at Cake Talk Live. And shout out to Word of Mouth. You can also, my mixtape is out, called Cake Talk Mixtape. That's out on all platforms. Link in the bios. What else we got? Oh, every last Saturday of the month, I am starting Music Mass and Mimosas. It's a day party at 2 Chainz New Club at Escobar. I'm doing day parties. Artists, I'm breaking your music. We're going up. We're turning up. I'm showing love to people. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can follow me on all platforms. My mixtape is out. For those of you who don't have Instagram, you can go to Google and you can Google Cake Hustle or Google Miss Baby Cakes. One S, MISBABYCAKES.
All right, y'all. I thank Baby Cakes for coming in today and telling her story on from the bottom to the top with me, Princess with the Real. I always like to get the real. I don't like to get the fake. I like to know what people really have going on in their life, what they've been through and where they are now. And hopefully we'll have a follow-up to see where she's going later on in life. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you next week on From the Bottom to the Top.
Yeah. I done been down before. I had to get up and get it together. Knew one day it would be better.